have a super janky recording setup, but hopefully it will work. Let me see if I sit on the chair. It will make it better. So I got myself a little mic. I don't know if this helps. I'm full. Books in the background. Books in the background. Okay. Maybe it'll work. Okay. I just watched Marky's video on the current booktalker drama. There's always booktalk drama, but because it's the end of the year, it reminds me of just why I love booktalk. I have some thoughts on the end of year reading goal videos that have been coming out, and I have some pretty unpopular opinions. My main unpopular opinion that I've heard people kind of disparaging is that I audiobook. And I don't just audiobook, but I also listen to them on 2.5 times speed. So when I do a book, it's usually like 4 hours. I'm also sorry, I have kind of lost my voice because I think I'm sick. I'm traveling and it just doesn't agree with me, but whatever. My other kind of, I guess, credential is that I read 1,500 words per minute with a 95% comprehension rate. Took one of those online tests. So when I do sit down to read a book, I finish a whole book in like an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. And it just depends on the length. Okay, in terms of reading goals, I have never set a yearly reading goal, and I wouldn't, for a couple of reasons. I don't have to. I know I'm actually going to read. I don't have to force it. It actually makes me not want to read. It makes reading more of a chore than an actual pleasure, and I like reading for pleasure. Um, Also, I read off vibes. I have a really long to be read list. These are books that were on my to be read list, and if I'm not feeling it, I don't read, and can put it down and never read it again, even if I've started it. That I know bothers some people, but whatever. A couple of notes that I was thinking of when I was listening to his video. Um, Audiobook readers are real readers. I mean, obviously, I've established that I myself am an audiobook reader. Also, Kindle readers are real readers just because you're reading an ebook as opposed to a physical copy. It doesn't make you any less of a reader. Kindles are great. I learned during college how much of a help ebooks are. I've always been a physical book person, but I know so many people who just don't have the space or the time to get physical books and store them. And so it really opens up reading to a larger audience, which I really appreciate. People who only read spicy romance books are still real readers. Um, I know that there was kind of a sense that people who read classic novels are the only ones who count. I think that people who've never read a classic novel are still readers. I think that they help sometimes with the interpretation of new work, but unless you're an English major, I honestly don't think it really matters. I mean, I come from a long line of English teachers. My grandmother was an English teacher, my mother studied English and was a medievalist, and she definitely forced classic books on me as a child, but I don't think it's really helped me that much. I think Shakespeare helped, but I also am in a more, I don't know, arts field. But I can imagine someone who's a scientist or something wouldn't necessarily care. Um, I also think that it's not really necessary. You can appreciate reading without appreciating, like, I don't know, Emily Bronte or something. I think you're good. And then finally, fandom books, like the Warhammer books, are real books and with real authors. And I think it's really great to support them. And if you just read those, I think you're just as much of a reader as someone who reads Charles Dickens. Um, I feel like some people will hate that statement, but I don't care, genuinely. I just like reading, and I think if romance books or nerdy books get you into reading, I think more power to you. That's awesome. Keep reading. Um, I think most people think I'm a bigger reader than my partner is, and he reads more books than I do. He has a job where he can listen to audiobooks just like I do, and he loves having something to listen to. I'm a master's student and I work the rest of the time. and I have time to read books at work while I'm doing art in my studio. If you're in a reading mood, you're going to read, and you aren't if you aren't. And I don't think it makes you a better or worse person just because you don't want to read a book on a certain day. Um, if you've read or listened to just one book this year, you are just as valid as all of the people who made or exceeded their 100 book yearly reading goal. It doesn't matter to me. We are all readers. Another hot take is that if you read manga or comics or webtoons, I also respect that. Some people are dyslexic and have an easier time reading books with pictures. You are also valid. It's not that deep. Support writers and creators, buy books, even if it's digital. Support small independent bookstores, support your local library. They have audiobooks and might surprise you with something that you weren't looking for. I've tried to do my reading recap because I was curious. This is an estimate. Some of it is more accurate than others. Audiobooks is easy because I have Audible. I have 27 fully completed books. That's an exact number, and I'm really tempted to do like a speedrun analysis of all of them. And I have like 3 half completed books that I'm working on. Physical books I've read, I think it was like 5 or 6. I honestly don't have time to sit down and flip through a physical book. Usually, when I'm wanting to read, it's because I'm knitting, and I like to read books, audiobooks, while I'm knitting. And so I can't have my physical book. If they invent robotic page turners that actually work and are comfortable, that read at my speed, I would be happy to invest in one. Um, Ebooks, I have 5 partially read books, but no completed books. I find it really hard to read on Kindle and ebooks. I read a lot of papers for my school in a electronic form, and I read probably like 10 to 15 research papers for my master's this year. And then in terms of comic books, I've read probably 100 plus webtoon series and 2 graphic novels. I don't know how many of each, like how many chapters of each, but I've read a lot. I'd say my wrap up would have to be around 32 books total. That's including the partial ones. And that's generous. It's been a slow year for me. I don't think I'm going to end this video with a goal for next year because I literally just said I didn't like to do that. But I'm going to ask for recommendations and motivation to read them. I hope you have a productive year of reading next year too. Let's keep each other going. Let's keep each other motivated. Um, Tell me the books that inspired you to read this year or got you back into reading. I'm always looking for things to read. I'm always looking for inspirational stories that people tell me about how books change their lives, how they've been enjoying reading. So let me know. What inspires you to read? What keeps you reading? How do you like to read? I'm genuinely interested. Are you also an audiobook person, or do you think that that's not a valid way of reading? I'm curious. I've never actually met someone who. Actually, that's a lie. I have met a couple people who don't believe audiobooks are real books, but whatever. You know, everyone has their own opinions, and I think it's just important to accept all readers because books make life so much better and the world a better place. So have fun reading, and I hope that I break that number this year.